ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मावृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of Renunciation. This topic is clearly pointing out to us the practice, cultivation of renunciation. Renunciation does not mean that one should abandon everything and go to a forest and live a hermit's life. That is not what is meant. Moreover, all people are not suitable to take up that sort of highly austere life of renunciation, living in the forest. But Lord Krishna here tells renunciation means giving up craving for desires. Giving up is called renunciation. Because the cravings, they are the main obstacles in our spiritual path. They are stumbling blocks. They won't allow us to move even an inch forward. So, Lord Krishna is teaching us, you must find out some method of controlling and managing the function of the mind, which is chasing after the desires. That is, man is aggressively seeking the sense pleasures. In that process, instead of getting the real happiness, he tastes the reflected happiness and will be in constant stress and strain in order to satisfy his sense cravings. So, Lord Krishna gives a very practical prescription for a person who is seeking realization of Brahman. Why should we seek realization of Brahman? Because in Brahman we feel the eternal happiness, eternal peace. There is no trace of unhappiness anymore. All these conflicts, unpleasantness, miseries and sufferings are because of the conflicts we are creating in our daily life. So, that means we are utterly neglecting the control of our senses. And we are paying a very heavy price for that. So, Lord Krishna here explains who is the person qualified for the realization of the Brahman, wherein he would enjoy supreme peace and supreme bliss. So in verse number 24, Lord Krishna says, Yontas sukondra rama tatantat jyotirevayaha sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto digacchati. He says here, who is able to attain moksha? He who is ever happy within. He who rejoices within. He who is illumined within. Such a person is called as yogi. He will attain absolute freedom or moksha. That is, himself becoming one with the Brahman. Once the wave had joined the ocean, there is no more individuality of the wave. It is one with ocean and it is ocean itself. And it realizes it's part and parcel of the ocean. Same way, the individual consciousness, when it merges in the absolute cosmic consciousness, it feels immense peace and joy. There the journey is completed. So that individual entity is no more have to suffer for anything. But the bliss of Brahman cannot be obtained so easily. In fact, one person was asking a very funny question. Educated person, having a good job, good salary, living a kind of spiritual life. Not really it can be called spiritual, but at least on the surface value. That person is asking a question. Swamiji, can I realize God by repeating 108 times? And he's asking this question seriously. I don't know. By repeating 108 times the name of God, or repeating 108 times the mantra, you are not realizing God immediately. It has got a process to go through. And I have to explain to you. The repetition of God's name has double purpose. It cleanses your mind, purifies the mind, and takes you forward in the spiritual path. Finally, it gives you realization. So there are stages you have to pass through. But this mantra helps you to achieve a goal. That's the way it is. That means even repeating 108 names of God, that also should be done very properly, earnestly, with great shraddha. And at the point of doing japa or meditation, one should offer himself wholly to God. O Lord, I am at your feet. Please guide me, protect me, give me peace of mind, give me moksha. So at that point of time, even if you sit for 5 or 10 minutes, start meditation with this attitude. For the time being, keep all the play of the senses suspense. Then slowly, as and when you continue doing practices seriously, you feel a joy and inexplainable peace of mind in the heart. So, one attains the bliss of Brahman by earnest efforts. Efforts means here spiritual disciplines. I don't know how people understand this properly. Discipline means you have to do it everything correctly, properly, at the punctual time. And that should be done for a long time. Anyway, in order to step into spiritual path, one should develop a kind of vairagya in the mind towards the worldly objects, worldly pleasures. How to do that? The natural tendency of the senses is to run after them. And it's too difficult to take back the senses from those pleasures. Really very difficult. But there is a way. And the way is shown by Lord Krishna. What's the way? One should become aware of the defects in sense objects and reject the desire in them and focus his attention on the pursuit of Atman by turning the mind inward. Defects of the sense objects means the bad effect, the consequences of going after the sense pleasures, one should become aware. It's a terrible reaction and it creates tension and it creates craving and one can become addicted to these sense pleasures. Addiction. And that's the most helpless state where there's nothing can be done and the person ruins himself. So, turning the mind from the external things into inside, turning the mind inward, focusing on the consciousness within. That means not playing anymore with sense objects, but enjoy the bliss in the Atman. That requires a lot of grit and stamina to do that. And that is, he should not allow the mind to run after the enjoyment of the sense objects. How to do that? Apply the practice of Viveka and Vairagya. And other means, one should turn inward all the sense organs and fix them on Atman alone. See, whatever happiness you are seeing outside, it is simply reflected happiness. It is not the real one. The real happiness is within the Atman. So, in this verse, Yovanta Sukhavanta Rama, three ideas are highlighted. And they are, one is happiness, second is play, third is light. Antarjyotirevaya. Jyoti means light. These three ideas are highlighted in this verse. Ordinarily, people in order to get happiness, they blindly run after the external things and get very little reflected happiness and consider it as supreme and try to get some kind of satisfaction. Such people are termed poor in their analysis of things. That means the intellect is not sharp enough, rather dull to make any observations, experiences externally. So wandering for that happiness becomes their nature. Because they're constantly repeating the same thing every day, that becomes your nature. And then you become slave of the instincts. Say for example, a thief, constantly he is stealing things. So, suppose he goes to a mall, suddenly the instinct pushes him to steal something. And it's too difficult to control that instinct. But if you have got good stamina and grit and strong determination, even though you are pulled by instinct, you should resist it. So, if you perceive thinking properly, you find that happiness is not to be got from outside, but that is inside only. The fountain of happiness is one's own Atma. Sometimes you feel, on some other day I saw one, I don't know if to be called as a devotee or not, but a person had come. He sat through for some time. When he met me, the first sentence he uttered was, "Oh Swamiji, I sat here in the chapel, I was feeling so peaceful, undisturbed, calm and quiet, serene." Like that person is telling me. First day he has come. So that means when the mind is properly focused on the divine, you do get the taste of real happiness. Anyway, I told him to keep coming more and more, so you enjoy this peace in a very stabilized way. So, that happiness which you experience inward, by turning the mind inside, by focusing on the Atman, the consciousness in the form of light dwelling in Atman, you feel a kind of happiness, and that happiness is eternal. There is no up and low. The external happiness is fluctuating, short-lived. It is mixed with unpleasantness, misery. Knowing this fact, the wise become inward and use all their power to attain happiness of Atman. They are really fortunate and blessed. They are fulfilled. Immediately they experience the glory of Brahman. That's why when you are able to concentrate and meditate properly, in course of time meditation becomes very deep and you get absorption in the divine. When the absorption is stabilized, you get immense joy and you don't know the passing of time. That state is called samadhi. And in that samadhi state, one feels he is none other than Brahman himself. He feels that oneness in that highest experience. That's why it is said, after attaining that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where his mind is totally filled up with Brahman consciousness, he is so overwhelmed and he has no desire at all to come to this external consciousness. In that process, the body drops off by itself. So that is the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Highest state one could attain through concentration and meditation done properly, efficiently for a length of time. So that is about the happiness. So the point here highlighted was the real happiness is within the Atman. The external happiness is only reflected happiness. Don't rely upon that. That's the idea. Next is play. The ignorant who does not discriminate properly keep on enjoying in external things. The place of enjoyment is where he keeps playing. And the example is given as the worm in the cow dung feels joyful moving in the cow dung itself. The ignorant keeps playing with sense objects and feels he is quite happy. But the wise who have sharp intellect behave differently. They know without doubt that the external things are temporary, and so they would spend time in meditating on Atman. They don't want to waste time anymore. For the wise, Atman itself is the resting place. That itself is a garden, a playground, and everything for him. Swami Tishwanji used to say, and it is written in Meditation Spiritual Life also, if you do meditation properly, you feel tremendous peace inside. Those whose mind is externalized, incapable of proper discrimination, cannot realize the merit of Atman. They won't think that there is Atman, but the wise know the supreme value of Atman. So they enjoy in Atman and attain immense peace. So we have to take some precautionary measures in order that mind is turned inward and would dwell upon concentrating on the light within the heart. So the spiritual teachers gave us warnings. These warnings are very useful for us. So it is like ready-made, you know what it is. So be careful and do it properly. That's the meaning. So the spiritual masters say, if you allow your mind to wander and lead a purposeless life, a bad reaction is bound to follow. Passions will overcome you. Passions means anger, greed, jealousy, lust. These all combined together, they are called passion. So they overcome you. To attain spiritual tranquility, you must keep up a regular practice. even against your inclinations. You should not say, today I didn't have mood, today I got up late, I have got many things to do. All these things are rejected, these reasons. They may be true. Still you have to sit. You must sit and do it. That's the meaning. So, that's the warning given to us by Swami Brahmanandaji, the famous book, Spiritual Teachings of Brahmananda. Please read that book. Most valuable book. There Swamiji says, you must keep up a regular practice even against your inclinations. And Swamiji says, spiritual awakening is bound to come. And when it does, all the passions that ever existed in you will be totally forgotten. When you are in the society of holy people, you may think that your passions are dead, but do not be deceived. You are free of passions only after you have attained samadhi. Till then, you have to be careful. Therefore, be always vigilant until you have transcended the mind. Unless you keep lust, anger, greed and such other passions under control, the mind will remain unsteady and unstable. How can you meditate with an unsteady and unstable mind? So Swamiji says, real austerity is not running to forest and sitting under a tree. Maybe that's also a kind of austerity. But the real austerity consists in the control of the passions. That means passions must never be allowed to raise its head. There comes your real mastership over your system. How nicely we are boastful telling my body, my mind, my arm, my hand, my forearm, eye and mind, how vehemently we say. But you must see that we control our body properly. If you merely say, I will conquer lust, I will conquer anger and greed, you can never conquer them. But if you can fix your mind on God, the passions will leave of themselves. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the more you move eastward, the further you are from the west. Call on God and pray to Him. Then the objects of sense will no longer attract you. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that the power of the mind becomes strengthened by the practice of continence. Continence. Preserving the vital force, which is very important for spiritual sadhana. But householder life, they give little license. But even in householder's life also, they should practice continence. A man so strengthened is not overcome by lust and anger. Passions seem trivial to it. Meditation is possible if you can keep lust, anger and all other passions under control. If any of them grow strong, you cannot have meditation. Real tapasya is to restrain the passions and not give vent to them. This indeed is the highest tapasya. A devotee asked a question to Swami Shivanandaji. Master, I can't change the tendencies of my mind yet. Please bless me so that I can control my passions. Of course, you have my blessings, Swamiji said. But you will have to exert yourself too. You have children. From now on, practice a little self-control and change the course of your life. It doesn't mean because you are married, you must have whole day, whole month, whole year, you should be indulged in sex activity. It doesn't mean that way. You have had enough of pleasures, now stop. Stop, Swamiji says. Of course, force will alone will not help, but if you struggle sincerely, in time, God will make your body and mind pure. Passion is that which centers around oneself, and love is that which centers around God. Eternal peace cannot come so long as passions and desires persist. And those passions and desires cannot be wholly uprooted without the grace of God. The grace of God one recognizes only through proper, sincere, spiritual efforts. That is, steady spiritual disciplined life. Swami Premanji gives another way of solution. He says, think that you are servants of God, children of Shiva, the Lord of the universe, the destroyer of passions. If you hold on to that attitude, passions will no longer assail you. To be dispassionate means to be freed from passions and from egoism. To achieve that end, man practices spiritual disciplines. If you harbor anger and passions, it will be your ruin, especially lust and anger. They are demonic. If they arise in your heart, weep and pray before the Lord. By the grace of God, they will fly away. The ignorant who do not discriminate properly think that the externally visible sun, moon, fire, stars, etc. are the light. In reality, there is one light by the power of which sun, moon, others show up their light, and that is Atman, the light of the Atman. All other lights which we see outside, they are all borrowed lights. The Upanishads also declare, Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. By its light, all others are lighted. Atman is light of all lights, the supreme light. Paranjyoti. So it is said, Antarjyoti, Bahirjyoti, Pratyakjyoti, Paratparaha. Jyotirjyoti, Swayamjyoti, Sajyoti, Shivamuchyate. So the wise, knowing this, dwell on this Atma Jyoti and become liberated while alive in this world. We have seen in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, life of Holy Mother, how they really have lived the life of spiritual realization, Jivan Mukti. So they were always peaceful and blissful. Anytime you go to them, anytime you speak to them, you feel a kind of peace and joy. Verse number 25, Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishaya Kshina Kalmashaha Chinnadvaida Yadatmanaha Sarvabhuta Ite Rataha. With sins destroyed, doubts dispelled, senses controlled, and devoting themselves to the welfare of all beings, the sages obtain the supreme bliss of Brahman. So, rishis, the sages, their sins are all consumed, their doubts are all dispelled, and their senses are all mastered. Their every action is led to the welfare of fellow creatures. Such people, they enter Brahman. They know Nirvana, the peace of the eternal. So the Rishi is a realized soul. So he views all beings as his own self. As the ignorant man identifies himself with the body, so the Rishi, the wise man, seeing the one supreme self in all, identifies himself with all and is engaged in unbroken service of all beings. He always feels compassionate and loving towards the whole creation. There is no trace of hatredness, jealousy in such a realized person, because he visibly is convinced that the whole universe is nothing but God himself. So Rishika means senses. Those who have conquered the senses and focused the mind on Brahman, they are called Rishis. The Rishis are no more ordinary beings. The Rishis will be adored by the world. They are really Brahman. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Those who have realized Brahman, they become Brahman. Now here, in this verse, 4 qualities have been highlighted. One is Paparahitya, Kshena Kalmashaha. Second one, Samshayarahitya, Chinnadvaita. Third is Yatatmana. And fourth is Sarvabhutahitayartha. So these are the 4 ideas highlighted in these verses. One is Paparahitya. In every embodied being, the jiva, the heart is filled with sins committed through various previous births. They are hindrance on the spiritual path. In the mind of sins, the realization of Atman will not arise. So it is very necessary that through meritorious deeds, through selfless service, and through devotion, meditation and other spiritual activities, one should get rid of the sins. Just as the clothes are cleaned by washing, the mind also should be cleansed. This is the first step to be done by one who is seeking the realization of Brahman or realization of God. That is, one should be free from sins. Paparahitya. The next quality is Samshayarahitya. It is said in the Gita, Samshayatma Vinashyati. A doubting man ruins himself. So they say, doubt is a terrible devil. One who is constantly doubting, such a person will be dying daily. No peace for such a person. So, through proper discrimination and wisdom, one should get rid of doubts, attachment and aversion. In the Upanishad also it is said, Chidyante sarva samshayaha. To determine spiritual knowledge, one should get rid of all doubts. And that is the second step. Samshayarahitya. One is Paparahitya, second is Samshayarahitya. Now third is Yatatmanaha. It means control of senses. That is, he should make his senses behave and perform according to his ways. The extrovert mind always runs after external objects. Through Viveka and Vairagya, he should turn them inward and fix them in the Atman. He who is slave to senses, not putting even one step in the spiritual path to liberation, in order to satisfy the cravings of the senses, loses his most precious human life. Just as the chariot drawn by wicked horses cannot reach its destined place, one who has no grip over his senses cannot reach the abode of liberation. So, one seeking realization of Brahman should have masterly control over his mind and other senses. This is the third step. Third step. Hitatmana. The fourth one. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. That is, in Upanishad also it is said, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is verily Brahman. It is the aphorism of practical Vedanta. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha is practical application. No being is to be hated upon. That's the point. One who is seeking realization of Brahman would not do any harm to anyone. On the other hand, he is ever ready to render help. Lord Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. No hatred towards anybody, any being. Sarva Bhutana. Maitra, friendliness. Karuna, compassionate. All these are the qualities, virtues to be developed, cultivated, so that mind becomes completely sattvic and would be able to rest on the glory of the Atman within and enjoys immense peace and bliss. So that's how it is. These four qualities we should develop in order to experience the bliss of Brahman. Let us continue next Tuesday. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Let us offer our salutation to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of supreme peace and bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.